Who we're talking to today is author Dave Marz. Again, over 20 year as a professor in arts. He did a lot of international and national conferences where he spoke on his stuff. He's been published in Image magazine before for his design work. Um, and I really think it's cool that he's getting into writing. He gave me a copy of his book that will be available at Barnes and Noble and in Amazon on Amazon. And I've been reading it. It's really good so far. I'm enjoying the story. But you'll learn more about it in our conversation. He'll also be having a book signing. I'll be publishing that information on the website soon. So if you you hear this interview and you listen to it and you really like, I want the book and I want to meet him, get a signature. Let me, just look up the article after I publish it today, and the details on that will be there. Again, it's Life is Your Masterpiece. You can look it up on Barnes and Noble site and probably find it. This is what the cover of the book looks like. So if you watch this and you decide you want to go buy it, just search it up on Barnes and Noble and support local authors as well as any other artists, right? All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys enjoy that interview. It's a really good one. I really enjoyed speaking with Dave. He's an interesting person, and a lot of the topics he explores in this book are hot button issues. All right, and it's a psycho romance. So a bit of a thriller, a lot of obsession, a lot of psychological things happening in this story. So it's not just a romance, but it is romance, but it also is kind of a psychological exploration of an artist. All right. You guys enjoy that interview, and remember, at some point I will be pausing so that I can run a short commercial. So just bear with me when we do that, and we'll get right back to the rest of the interview at that point. All right, guys, you enjoy. Hello, I'm Brittany Hazelton. This is Architects Artistry, where we explore the arts in our area. Today's guest is the author of a unique upcoming book titled Life is Your Masterpiece, a book about a painter and his journey through life and rediscovery of his cultural heritage and romance, and his discovery of romance. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. How do you do? My name is Dave Marz. That's the title of my book, Life is Your Masterpiece. And I was a professor for over 20 years, an art professor. And I started this book about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was initially about my career as an artist and as a professor. And it just sort of slowly morphed into 4 different books till I got to this one. But it was autobiographical at first.
I see, okay.
And I was told that unless you're somebody famous, movie star or something, chances are no one's going to read your story. And so
Yeah, that's sadly that's a hard truth about autobiographies. You gotta
right,
kind of have a popular name before you're recognized
right.
at that level. Yeah.
So I just sort of had to change gears, and through rewrites and being a part of active groups online, I got good feedback, and it just sort of morphed into a romance novel um, about a young painter, and he grows up in the Midwest, very rural territory, and he's painting in the fields, and he falls in love with the daughter of the farmer he paints on their land. And so it sort of starts there and talks about him. He's very insecure. He's a Mexican American and it talks about some of the situations that has happened due to racism and so on.
Some of the things that we face as a nation, the challenges
Yes.
for Mexican Americans today.
Right.
And it's so you're really kind of putting that out there in a time that I feel like we need to challenge people's viewpoints. Like people need to maybe come to learn about other people's lives and get to understand each other.
Right.
Right.
Which is really lagging today. We're having, it's a hot button issue today, obviously, because
Yeah.
of immigration and the border wall and so on.
And all the protests that are happening to right now, actually, at the very moment that we are speaking.
Right.
There are protests going on across America because of the immigration issues, challenges that our country's facing,
Yes.
especially for Mexican American culture.
A whole multitude of things happening today. So I wasn't sure if it was something that I wanted to publish because it does sort of talk about, well, it does talk about many of the hot button issues today about immigration, race, sexual orientation. And so I thought, well, but then I thought, really now is the right time. If you're going to say something
Yeah.
and stand for something, now really is the time to do it. So I just sort of changed my mind and I went ahead, went forward with it because I think there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
So it starts off as a romance novel. It ends as such, but it certainly talks about a lot of things happening today.
I think it's brave of you to bring that to the forefront now.
Thank you.
But as an artist, that's important. Us as art is always challenging the societies, and challenging the moral, you know, pushing the morality or challenging society's viewpoints on
Right.
other cultures and freedoms that we fight for hard for. Because I mean, that's what art is about: is the freedom of it's expressing oneself,
Right.
right?
And,
So it's very brave of you to.
well, thank you. Taking people out of their comfort zone.
Is
And
very important.
there you go.
That's part of what we do as
Right.
artists.
That's right. As artists, that's what we do. So we're guilty of that. But I think it's a good thing because rather than burying all these issues about, sexual identity, about what your race is and so on, we need to talk about those. And one of the things that I mentioned in the book is my admiration for the African American community because that's what they did. They didn't hide. They
They didn't.
stood for who they are, their cultural beliefs, and I always admired them for that.
Yeah.
And I wish that the Mexican American community would do the same thing. But
Like the African American community, they rebuilt their culture from the ground up, and they held on to it, and I can admire that.
right,
It's something that Cajun people are doing here in Louisiana. We nearly lost our culture, been tossed to just being Cajun food, but there's so much more to the culture that is there, and
we
right
had
now.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, we're fighting to hold on to the language, hold on to the culture, and there's a lot to be taught there, and same for the Mexican American community. We're
Right.
we're a mixing pot. America is all immigrants mostly now. Everybody came from somewhere, and
Exactly.
we deserve to hold on to that heritage.
Right, yes. So, yeah, we have to protect it. That's who we are, and we have to celebrate it. So, I didn't know a whole lot about that community or that culture because I'm really from up north. I come from, well, actually, California, and I grew up in the late 60s, and everything was a little strange in California. That I had a teacher, she made us sing to the Beatles' White Album. It's about 69. I know.
What a time, though.
Yes, yeah, it was. And then went to Michigan, And so I'm just kind of learning more about what the Cajun culture is really about.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot to learn there, and a lot of us, it's got to rediscover it for ourselves too. And I think the further you get from that epicenter, it gets harder
Oh,
for
sure.
us
Oh,
to,
for
to,
sure.
to maintain that. But I think it's very important, especially in Louisiana, it's very important to know where we came from, right? And I think the same goes for every culture, that you should hold on to it because that's what makes us unique as humans, right? Is
Right.
all of our culture,
Exactly.
our music's
As
from
a
those cultures,
nation.
the arts, exactly, the languages. That's what makes different, humanity so unique,
Right.
right?
I didn't know that Cajuns had a type of language. Or,
Yeah, yeah.
really?
Cajun French.
Oh, okay.
Originally, Cajuns came from Canada,
Oh,
Nova
really?
Scotia,
Oh my gosh.
Canada.
Oh, long ways.
So back in the when Canada, France lost Canada to the British, they the British started coming, and the French that had established there came together with the native Canadians, and they started battling British ships. My great grandfather is like 7 times grandfather, way back then. He had a ship and he was taking out British trade vessels because they didn't want the British to come. Well, eventually, the British captured him and his crew, and he was in prison for 2 years. And the France made a deal with them. They were like, well, our deal is, well, you let them go, but they had to be exiled from Canada with his crew of native Canadians
Really?
and French. And so they took their vessel and they had to leave. And so this mixed crew of people lost the land that they knew, they grew up with, and they ended up going to Haiti for a while, and they struggled with yellow fever,
Oh,
and then they
boy.
came and they settled in Lafayette, like in that area.
Okay.
And my great grandfather took all of them and settled there. And that's where the Acadians came from.
I
Is
see.
that became their place.
Can you speak a little Cajun for
I
us?
wish. I wish that was something that I always, because I remember my great grandmother, right? She would speak Louisiana French
Okay.
all the time. And she barely spoke a lick of English, but she didn't really teach the family much.
Oh,
Like
I
only a
see.
few of our
Right.
our
Yes.
grandparents understood what my great grandmother was saying, but they never taught
I
anybody.
see. Well, it's interesting because when I taught in Texas as a professor, a lot of my students there would tell me that they weren't allowed to speak Spanish at all in school when they were children, or they would get the ruler on their hands.
We would get the same thing.
Okay.
A lot of our French-speaking natives were told that they couldn't speak their Cajun language in school. They would be failed if they did.
Right.
Told not to teach their children because they needed to Americanize.
Right.
And so a lot of cultures
Exactly.
lost that way.
Right. Well, I just heard yesterday there was, I don't know if it was a senator or a congressperson who had just said that, was talking about immigration, and it stated that, if you come to this country, you do it legally and assimilate into this country. And assimilation essentially means that you lose the culture who you are and become white America. And I talk about that in this book. So, and that's why I admired the African American
I feel like
community.
if people looked into their heritage, they would find so much culture. Why do we need to
Yes.
lose that?
Right,
America
exactly.
has so many cultures that have just come together. Like maybe people need to look back into their family's past so they can learn their own culture, and they would, it's not that we don't have to lack that.
Right.
It's not something we need to lose.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's interesting times we live in now.
It is.
But that was part of the reason why I felt that the story had to be told, because yes, it is a romance novel, but does talk about so many other issues that are going on today. And so we still live in America, I hope, but I just, I'm worried that we are losing our human rights in this country and that people
Yeah.
are able to live free anymore. And so, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And also, not only does your book explore culture, but it explores arts
Yes.
in many forms. You said to me before that it explores a lot of the greats, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Well,
Okay, guys, so here's that short commercial break that I was talking about. We will be right back and we will continue the rest of this really good interview. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the conversation that me and Dave Marz had at this time. I understand that some of these issues may be pressing or a little bit of a sensitive subject for some of you who are watching, but I hope that you are keeping an open mind to the conversations being had because behind every, you know, event that is happening recently, there's people and whose lives are being affected. So I really hope you take a moment to at least listen. Uh, I'm not here to change anyone's mind, but I hope that you will take the time to see a different viewpoint. All right. Anyways, here goes that commercial, guys.
So he starts out painting, as you probably know, can be kind of a lonely existence.
It can be. I knew an artist, Charles the artist, and he told me he hates the process. Right? He hates the process of painting, but he loves the results.
Right,
Right.
right. But we have to go through that to get there, obviously. But yeah, and so he paints out in the fields, and from there he just sort of, he wants to be something important, and due to his own sort of creativity, he starts writing to famous artists. I include all the correspondence in the book, like Picasso and What It Is to Be a Man, and two other great artists, Van Gogh and so on. And he's looking for a friend. He's looking for inspiration, and um, he looks towards popular culture, Hollywood movie stars, but he starts to see in icons like Bridget Bardot, Marilyn Monroe, all these great
Taking
female,
influence from both genders.
right. And he sees the power of women and how they control many things. And he wants that control. And so he starts to sort of adopt these sorts of things um, to give him the life that he wants. And it's kind of like why
Oh
the
yeah, I
front of
wanted to
the
talk to you about that. You designed the cover because you're a graphic artist and photographer,
yes,
right?
that's correct.
It's a beautiful cover.
Well,
I love
thank you.
that.
And in the back, it's the blue, so he has this sort of dualities that are going
The
on.
feminine and masculine from the
Right.
90s, yeah.
About self-discovery and who to love and who are,
I can relate to that.
okay, yes.
I can
And
relate to that.
so again, it's just one of these issues that are pretty popular right now, but you could also be in trouble, So I was just very kind of apprehensive, but it was just stories that needed to
Yeah.
be told, so I went ahead and
Well,
published them.
it's a beautiful cover,
Thank
and
you.
I look forward to talking to you about other projects that you have coming up in the
Okay.
future. These other books that you said that you are working
Right.
on. So,
Yeah. Well, the first one, as I'd started out, was more autobiographical.
yeah.
It was about my artwork, about being a professor in academia, and the stories and the things that I experienced in academia is a book all on its own.
I look forward to reading that.
Thank you. And so there's that one. Then there's another one where it's about an older gentleman who is suffering the, sort of the beginnings of dementia, and he doesn't quite understand what's happening yet. And he's trying to be a productive citizen. He's trying to work, and with this going on, he can't figure out why he's failing, what's going on.
Oh, so that's going to be a very challenging viewpoint
Yes.
to write, but I look forward. It's going to be a very interesting read.
Well,
I'm sure.
I think so. And so I still have those two in the works. But so right now, this is my first novel, and so yeah, I'm excited about it. I
I
think.
look forward to reading it. I
Thank you.
definitely do. I'm
Thank you.
excited about it. Everything I've learned from you, and it's going to be an interesting read for sure. So definitely, guys, if you get a chance, definitely check out his book. Where can people find your book?
Amazon.
Amazon,
Right away, yes.
okay.
Amazon, hardcover, ebook, or softcover.
Do you have a website or
Uh,
social media?
Yes, I'm on Facebook, of course. I have my own website, author Dave Marz, and we'll have my books there that I'm working on.
I'll make sure to link those
Okay,
in the
thank
article
you.
for people so that they can find you easy.
And Barnes & Noble, I'm working with them. I want to have a book launch there in our local Barnes and Noble here on Youree.
Oh yeah, so definitely, guys, when you get the chance, check out that book signing when he gets it set up, so you can get your copy signed by him and meet him and talk to him in person.
Thank you.
I'm sure our arts community will welcome you with open arms
They
here.
already have.
We're a very collaborative community.
It's a great community.
It is. It really is. You know, we have a lot of great artists here and a lot of great writers here, and I think we need to collaborate more and kind of expose this area to the world more.
Well, I just want to say that coming from Chicago and coming to Shreveport, there's a lot going on here, arts-wise, groups and so on. And that's really nice to see. You know, coming from a large city and then here, and it's like, oh, this is good. You got a lot happening.
We do.
And keep up the work that you're doing because you're getting it out there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we got a lot here going on in Shreveport.
We're trying always to promote it as much as we can. You know, the one thing I tell people is like, look, even if you're just now learning about it, share it. Share it to your friends, your family, people that are not even into arts. Give them a chance. You never know what they might like. And also, people always say, oh, well, there's nothing to do in Shreveport. That's not true. You really want to learn what's to do here. And if you're living here and you never really found joy in it, come to the arts community. Come to the groups here. Come check out our events. There's always something to do, and it will change your perspective of where you live.
Right. Well, for sure. Absolutely. If I can make one last thing about...
Yeah, go ahead.
I hope that people also support the Schizophrenia International Research Society. It's on the back of the book. Support there. And MALDEF, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund. And PEN America. PEN America is a nationwide group protecting writers and books so people continue to read and people can tell their stories.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave, for talking to me. It's been a great pleasure meeting you, and getting to know you, and I'm glad to have your talent here in our area.
Well, thanks for everything you're doing. So, you know,
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. So that was my interview with Dave Marz. Life is Your Masterpiece is his new book. I'll have the book signing information is going to be published on the article that you can find. Again, it's going to be on the Architects Artistry area. If you go to podcast section on our website, go to Artistry. You can find all the art articles that I write. I put them right there in this, and my videos are on this as well. So if you go down, you'll see there's a video feed. You can also find Architects Artistry on our YouTube if you look at our playlists and find my playlists. We got over, I think, 100 videos on that playlist right now from the last year and a half to close to 2 years of me doing this, a year and a half, I think. But yeah, no, check out all my videos if you want to learn about the art cultures are in our area. If you want to get to know more about what's going on, and, you know, have something to do. There's a lot to do, and a lot of it is free.